Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with day 5 of May I Scraplift You, a hop started by Crystal Barrett with pineapple papers. And today I am scraplifting Sonia Rivera. And here is her layout. It is a screenshot from YouTube. I couldn't find this layout on her Instagram account, which is Rivera SM0303. And I'm just sharing the Distress Grit Paste right there by Tim Holtz and a few different colors of Distress Oxides. I pulled out my Buenos Dias collection because it is one of my absolute favorites. All my scraps, my 6x8 paper pad, some loose papers, a project pad, some ephemera, and little this and that. And then I also have this stencil that I want to use. And obviously when I sped the whole video up, I didn't cut out the first part that I usually slow down a little. So I have all this ephemera, mixed media, and this really sweet picture, and this sketch. So let's see how this goes. So the first thing I did was I took this Tim Holtz Distress Grit Paste in translucent, and I took it through the stencil. Now, I am only using white cardstock. It is regular cardstock. I did not gesso it. It is not Vicky Bouton's mixed media paper. The only time I've used this paste before was a couple days ago during, I believe, my Scraplift Crafternoon, and I used the Vicky Bouton mixed media paper. So I thought I would try it out and see how it worked. And it does okay, but I do get some warping and bubbling. But when it's in a book and everything, I think it will be fine. So I'm not too terribly worried. And I do go a little off sketch or off of the layout. She has a little banner bit up here at the top. And I had extra texture paste on my a little palette, and it's got a little glitter in it from where I didn't get my stencil clean enough, and so I didn't want to waste it, so I just thought I would put a little bit of that floral at the top. And so when I started painting, I did not put any water with my ink, and I start with the mustard seed Distress Oxide, and it's super yellow. Like it's not watercolory looking. So I add some water, and that definitely helps. But it also didn't help that I'm using this itty bitty brush. So I do about a third of it with this little brush. And I probably should have waited till it dried because I may have come out a little different. I'm not super happy with the yellow. I am thrilled with the way the next color comes out. But the yellow, I'm a little unhappy with how heavy it is. And that's my own fault. But I do get out a bigger brush, and that definitely helped. And so overall, I really think this layout is super bright and colorful, and I like it a lot. I would probably be happier if the yellow wasn't so crazy and thick up there in that top corner. But I do want to stick mostly with the way that the sketch or the layout is that Sonia did. So I don't want to cover that corner. So when I use this bigger brush, it definitely helps get coverage better, obviously. And it also helps get it a little lighter on the page. And the yellow, you can't tell that as much, but when I do the next color, I do. You can see how it is perfect, in my opinion. So the next color I pull out is Mermaid Lagoon. Well, I did not clean all the yellow out of my brush, so when I pour my Mermaid Lagoon into the little pot, there is a smidge of yellow left in the pot, which was not on purpose. I was trying to pour it into the next little Tim Holtz. That's a Tim Holtz color blender, and I did not intend on putting it in the same spot as the yellow, but when I pour the blue in a little bit, it like drips into the same container, so it's fine. It's fine, see? It did it all on its own. It was just meant to be, and the color is gorgeous. It's probably my favorite color, so it's okay. So I add some water, and well, whatever water is left in my little spritzer, And then I blend it up. And like I said, I did not clean all of the yellow ink out of my brush. So this is a blend of Mermaid Lagoon and Mustard Seed. And that teal color is like my absolute favorite color. It's just so happy and gorgeous. And I love that color. So I'm okay with that. Plus the way that it's going down, especially over there on the right where you can see the definition of the florals with the texture paste. It makes me very happy. I have extra on my paintbrush, so I kind of just add a little to the other side, hoping that it'll get a little bit of that texture or the design of the floral. And it does in places, and I'm fine with that. And like I said, the end result I'm happy with. So that really is the most, important. And you can see at the bottom where the florals are, it's just the top part of the yellow. And I do cover some of that up. And then I take the picked raspberry and I do the exact same thing up there in that top corner. So I am bringing that pink in, and when I use the papers, I will add pink into the bottom part as well, so it's covering. So then I add a little extra water and tap out the leftover pink or the picked raspberry so that there's some splatters on the top and on the left side. And there's a little bit of splattering in the yellow and teal or aqua, but not much. So I go through here and I'm trying to decide what I want to mat my picture on. And it looks like her picture is matted a couple of times and then a frame around it. I don't frame my picture because my frames are like for a 4-inch picture, but it covers some on the sides, and my sister and my daughter are like right on the edge of the picture, so I don't want to cover anything up. So I just pulled some scraps out that I think are going to work, and that makes me happy because the whole theme for 2022 is to use my scraps and to use my stash. So I'm not saying I'm not buying more stash as I go through the year. I know myself better than that, but I do want to use up what I have and try not to buy the same things over and over again, or, more of the same kind of thing. So I use 3 different pieces of scrap paper on here, which makes me happy. And I get a piece or one of the embellishments that I've been trying to use for a while. I also get that used. So I mat my picture on the 6x8 paper that I pulled out. And I get that on there, and I make sure to pick the part that is predominantly the blue and teal, and cut out a lot of like the orangey colors, because there's some orange in my layout, but not a ton of it. So I just want to get that down. And then I just make a few paper layers. And she has like a notebook punch or something that she uses on that where my yellow polka dotted paper is. I don't have that, and I decided not to really do anything with that paper. I'm going to cover part of that up with the embellishments and my title. And I do love that yellow polka dotted paper, so I leave it alone. If I had that, I probably would have used it because I do really love that notebook paper punch. So it's going to have to go on my wish list for my birthday this year, along with like 9 million other things, I'm sure. So I have some puffy stickers. I have that tuxedo jacket the bigger one is from the chipboard, and I've been trying to find a way to use that up, and I felt like we were all dressed up ready for a wedding. No one is in a suit jacket, and definitely not in a polka dotted one, but I felt like it worked well for the concept of getting dressed up and all going out. And I also was able to cover some of that blobby yellow up at the top. So I end up putting that up there in the top left corner of my paper cluster. And I'm good with that. I don't want to cover over all my florals that are in my paper, and I certainly don't want to cover any more teal up than I have to. So most of my embellishing covers the yellow side, which is fine. So I get that down, and I'm just using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And then I'm going to start working on this top part. I had these 2 little banner pieces that I cut off of another layout because I don't like wasting, and they were going to be tucked underneath something, so I cut them off. And then I put that little tuxedo jacket next to it, so it just looks like it's meant to be that way. And so then I really just am confused now as to what I want to do. And she has some really pretty butterflies and some florals, and I've got florals all over my page already. And I thought, well, I could try and add a couple more florals. So I decide to pull out my embellishment box and start trying to figure out what I want to do here. I do put this little bow tie up here, and it is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I do add some things up there. It still doesn't necessarily fit in, and maybe had I waited to put that on after I'd finished clustering, it would have been better, but it's glued down. I was not taking that off. It would have messed up the texture paste and the paper, and I just wasn't going to do that. So I found this tag that says, "How exciting." It's in the same color format as the word family that I've already matted and tacked down on the bottom left of the picture. But since this is white, it's not going to stand out. So I ink it with my Black Soot Distress ink. I was making sure it wasn't an oxide. It's not. And I just glue that down. And since it's partially going to be over the mixed media, I go ahead and use some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And just tuck it right in the curve of that tuxedo jacket that I used up at the top, which is a puffy sticker. And so far, everything I have used is from the Obed Marshall Buenos Dias collection. The only thing that I use on this layout that is not, other than the mixed media, is my title and 2 embellishments that go with that collection that I pull the title from. So I pull these florals out, I tuck them in. I really love the way those look. Even though there's a ton of flowers already on here from the mixed media, I really like the way that these just kind of bring them in a different dimension, and it ties the colors that are all around into the layout. So I get my little, I want to call these enamel dots, but they're not enamel dots. They're just called stickers, but they're like enamel dots. And I put a couple of the dots down there in the bottom of that yellow polka dotted paper. I make sure not to put them where the polka dots are. And then I put a little star for the 3rd cluster. I also use one on that tag because I don't want a naked tag hole. And one of my favorite ways to cover a tag hole is with an embellishment or a gemstone or an enamel dot or even Nuvo or something like that. So I just put one of the little blue dots in the middle, and then a heart diagonal from that, and then another heart that's like a one of the enamel or the acrylics. It's acrylic. That heart below the "How exciting" is acrylic. And then I take the Mermaid Lagoon and the mustard seed and tap it out on the top part, so it is similar to her layout. She has that splattering up there as well. So then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, because I feel like there's something missing in the top and over on the left side. And she, like I said, has a bunch of florals and some butterflies. And I don't want butterflies because I don't have any that go with this collection. And while I can definitely bring things in, I didn't really want to, other than maybe a title. So I go back through my ephemera and I get one more flower. Actually, I pulled 2, but I put one back. And that one that is orange and yellow and blue, I put it down over there on the left side and then cut off the part that's hanging over. And then I put that up at the top. So it brings those colors from one side of the layout to the other. And it just adds just enough to the layout to make me happy and to make me feel like the layout is full and that there's not a ton of empty space. So then I pull out these Dear Lizzie thickers, and it's the title of this is Snapshots. And I am going to use that. I looked at a couple other things and I just wasn't happy with them. I didn't want to really use gold, even though there is a little bit of gold in this layout. But I decided that I would use this one that says My Crew. And since it's going on mixed media, I do use the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, even though these are very sticky. I went ahead and put Nuvo on the top of each letter and the bottom of everything. And there is that other My on there that's very, has that big loopy Y. I didn't really want that. So I figured that this word My would be perfect. And I just add that on there. And then I want to bring that black Same shade and tone over a little bit and up a little bit. The only black on this layout is the black soot that I used to ink around the How Exciting tag. So I pull a heart off and I put it down there at the bottom right next to the word family. And then I'd pull one of the stars off and I add that up to the next to the cluster of the floral on the top, over towards the right. And that way it gives me that triangle effect of that black foam type stickers. Yeah, foam. They're called foam. And now I'm going to show you well, I'm looking at it first, and then I'm going to show you this again. I hope you all will go down below and check out all the different people who are hopping along with May I Scraplift You. One of those people, I believe, is Sonia. And so you can follow her on Instagram, and you can also subscribe to her YouTube channel and all the other amazing creatives that are down there. I hope that you enjoyed this process. It's a little crazy and wild, but that's the way I roll. And I hope you all come back again tomorrow for another May I Scraplift You. Have a great evening and happy scrapping.